Welcome to day 62 of our school year. Get this filled in. All right, let's get down our beginning fraction. 62 days out of a total of 180 school days. Let's find the factors of our numerator, which is 62. Two factors we always know are 1 and the number itself. Using the commutative property of multiplication, we can also do 62 times 1. Now we're going to go through our divisibility rules in an orderly fashion to make sure we don't miss any factors. So the next one after 1 is 2. The rule for 2 is that it ends in an even number. 2 is even, so 2 is a factor. Half of 60 is 30, half of 2 is 1. In that commutative property of multiplication, we have 31 times 2. We try 3. The rule for 3 is that we add the digits together. 6 plus 2 equals 8. 8 is not a multiple of 3, so 3 is not a factor. We try 4. One thing to check with 4 is that if the second factor with 2 is even, 4 will work. 31 is not even, so 4 is not a factor. 60 is a multiple of 4, and 64 is, but not 62. We try 5. The rule for 5 is that it ends in a 0 or 5. It ends in a 2, so 5 is not a factor. We try 6. The rule for 6 is that both 2 and 3 work. 2 is a factor, 3 is not a factor, so 6 is not a factor. We try 7. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. No, 62 is not in that list, so 7 is not a factor. We try 8, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64. 62 is not in that list, so 8 is not a factor. We try 9. 9 has the same rule as 3. We add the digits together, we get 8. 8 is not a multiple of 9, so 9 is not a factor. We try 10. The rule for 10 is that it ends in a 0. It ends in a 2, so 10 is not a factor. I may want to check and see if 31 may be prime, because if we've gone in order and our second factor is prime, we're done. And yes, 31 is prime. So that means we found all the factors for 62. 1, 2, 31, 62. When we list our factors, we always list them from least to greatest. We have 4 factors, which is more than 2 factors, so it is composite. And we need to find our greatest common factor. So let's start with our greatest factor of 62. So we're going to make a group of 62. Does not have to look like mine, but you must have 62 in each, and you want to keep your shaded separated from your unshaded. So we have 8, and 50 is 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. And I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 56 left. Since I have 56 left, 62 is not a factor. I don't have enough to make another group. Okay, so let's try groups of 31. 30 plus 1. 29 plus 2. 28 plus 3. 27 plus 4. 26 plus 5. And then I have 25 left over. That is not enough to make a group of 31. So let's try our next one, which is 2. Your groups of 2 do not have to look like mine, but you do want to have 2 in each group, and we need to keep this shaded separated from the unshaded. All right, so 2 works. We found our greatest common factor. Since they're both even, 2 works. So let's find our total groups of 2. The way I made my groups, each of my row has 5 groups of 2, so I can count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. And there are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31 shaded in. So I did my division in my model. I made equal groups. I divided the whole thing and the shaded area into equal groups of 2. Now I'm going to use my algorithm to do the same thing. So I'm dividing 180 into groups of 2, or in half. And I'm dividing 62 into groups of 2, or in half. I know that 2 times 50 is 100. Numbers the same, zeros a game, more on top, no need to stop. Numbers the same, zeros a game. And 40 times 2, well, the 4 times the 2 gives me that 8, and then the 40 just moves it over a place. Numbers the same, zeros a game. Add these partial quotients together. 50 plus 40 is 90. Then over here, let's do 30. 30 times 2 is 60. More on top, no need to stop. Numbers the same, zeros a game. And then 1 times 2 is 2. Numbers the same, zeros a game. Add these partial quotients. 30 plus 1 is 31. But we still want to check divisor times quotient plus remainder, divisor times quotient plus remainder. Now, since our remainder is 0 for both, and the identity property of addition says when you add 0 it stays the same, we don't need to actually add the 0. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 9 tenths is 18 tenths. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 3 tenths is 6 tenths. So 62 matches my dividend up here, check. 180 matches my dividend up here, check. So my numerator is definitely 31, and my denominator is definitely 90. So let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. We're in trimester 2 now, week 1. Today's date is 11/5/19. And our fraction for today is 31/90. Let's go ahead and get out our number line. We did groups of 2. So we have 29/90ths, then we have 30/90ths, which is one of the many, many, many equivalent fractions to 1/3. 1/3 is the simplest form of that one. And then today is 31/90ths. There's no lines below it because this is our simplest form or equivalent fraction in lowest terms. Only the one above it. Okay, go ahead and put your number line away, erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.